Good evening, everyone. We're going to call to order the meeting of the Merrillville Town Council for today, Tuesday, August 24th, at 6:30 p.m. Please stand for the invocation and then stay standing for a moment of silence.
Let us pray. Oh, good God, we give you thanks for your providential care of us, the way you take care of us and our needs and provide for what we need. We pray for your blessing upon this town. We pray for a blessing upon this council and the deliberations they make. Guide them by your Spirit. This evening, we also think about the people of Afghanistan and all that's going on there, and also in Haiti with the earthquake and all the problems that are connected with that. Be with them and bless them and help them, we pray. Through Christ our Lord. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. Moment of silence, please. Thank you. Mr. Hardaway, Mr. Span, would you lead us in a pledge tonight, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everyone. Sitting in tonight for our clerk treasurer is Chantel Scott from the clerk treasurer's office. Welcome. And we'll take the roll call of the council, please.
Councilman Span.
Present.
Vice President Hardaway.
Yes.
Councilman Minchuk.
Here.
Councilwoman Uzelak. Here. Councilman Pettit.
Here.
Councilman White.
Here.
President Bella.
Here. 7 present. Moving on tonight to petitions, communications, acknowledgements, and remonstrations. We have one proclamation before you. It is the Arbor Day proclamation. Chantel?
Town of Merrillville Proclamation, State of Indiana, Arbor Day 2021. Whereas in 1872, J. Sterling Morton proposed to the Nebraska Board of Architecture that a special day be set aside for the planting of trees. And whereas this holiday, called Arbor Day, was observed with the planting of 1 million trees in Nebraska. And whereas Arbor Day now is observed throughout the nation and worldwide. Whereas trees can reduce the erosion of our precious topsoil by wind and water, cut heating and cooling costs, moderate the temperature, clean the air, produce life-giving oxygen, and provide habitat for wildlife. And whereas trees are a renewable resource giving us paper, wood for our homes, fuel for our fires, and countless other wood products. And whereas trees in our town increase property values, enhance the economic vitality of business areas, and beautify our communities. And whereas trees wherever they are planted are a source of joy and spiritual renewal. Now, therefore be it proclaimed by the Town Council of the Town of Merrillville that Tuesday, August 24th, 2021, be designated as Arbor Day in the town of Merrillville, Indiana, and call upon the citizens of Merrillville to dedicate this day to the importance of health, safety, environmental issues affecting our community and the children who reside with us all.
Motion to approve. Second.
A motion by Mr. Hardaway with a second by Mr. Span for approval of the proclamation. Nice job, Ms. Scott, reading that.
Thank you.
Much better than Kelly, by the way.
You know that's recorded,
A
right?
little joke. It's a joke. Just a joke. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye opposed. The motion carries. Did Don sign this? Yeah. Moving on tonight to the consent agenda, we have the accounts payable register voucher approval for August 24th and the approval of the town council meeting minutes of August 10th.
So moved.
Second.
Chair is going to recognize Mrs. Uzelak. Motion, second by Mr. Span. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. The motion carries. Moving on tonight to standing and special committees, Budget and Finance, Mr. Hardaway.
Thank you, Mr. President. Later on the agenda is Resolution 21-60, which is a resolution for the American Rescue Plan. That's our plan that we've discussed before. And so you will be able to, we'll vote on it tonight. We still won't be able to spend any money yet, but this will put our plan in place. And at the next council meeting, then we will set aside some money so that we can start spending it. That's all I have, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Hardaway. Moving on to council affairs, Mr. Pettit.
No report.
Public Works and Utilities, Mr. Minchuk.
No report.
Elections, Public Relations, Town Beautification, Mr. Pettit.
I'm sure that Mr. Hardaway is going to give an update on the birthday party we had on the 14th here at Town Hall, so I'll defer to him on that. Town beautification, Steve and I, we need to sit down with Leonard. I know he had interest. We've got to pinpoint those bridges with NDOT, Steve. I just got to find a time during the day to get with you on that. So, that's all.
Mr. Pettit,
Yes.
that sign on 61st Avenue coming off I-65, still nothing around it.
Still nothing around it.
Nope.
Okay.
Passed by there yesterday, and it was lonely by itself.
Anything else, Mr. Pettit?
That's it.
Thank you. Environmental Affairs, Mrs. Uselak.
Yes, I will report that there are so far 2,000 cases of COVID that have just popped up across the state of Indiana. It's a very serious situation now with this Delta virus, which is helping to spread it. People have to take their 1 and 2 viruses, and then the booster shot comes in 8 months after your second shot. So I'm suggesting and recommending everybody get that shot, their booster and their original, because right now the numbers are going up. They're not coming down, they're going up with the virus. And that's all I have to report on the virus right now. Oh, and the universities. Louisiana University is making a mandate after Michigan, Indiana U, and Valpo U. They are mandating all their staff to be vaccinated. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Personnel Policy and Employee Benefits, Mr. Hardaway.
No report at this time, Mr. President.
Public Safety, Mr. Minchuk.
Yes, sir, I have an executive session scheduled tomorrow here, and we have another meeting pending prior to our next, hopefully, meeting, and I'll have some reports then.
Okay. Economic Development, Mr. Pettit.
No report, Mr. President.
Parks and Recreations, Mrs. Uselak.
Yes, we've been having meetings. I was on the committee with Mr. Hardaway, the chairman of the Parks and Community Center, the personnel. I think we have come to hiring the assistant director. Is that so?
Not yet.
Not yet?
No decision's been made yet.
Okay, we haven't made the final decision. We've been having meetings on that, and when we do get the new assistant director, he will help with the Parks in Merrillville. And that's all I have right now. Thank you.
Thank you. Abandoned and Blighted Properties, Mr. Hardaway.
Thank you, Mr. President. One thing I'm asking the council to help me with is that there's a lot of semi-cabs being parked all over town now for some reason. People parking them in their yards. They park them in parking lots. You go down to Myers, and it's like a truck stop on the weekend. So I guess we need to try to figure out how we can correct that, because it's not getting any better. And especially when they come on our subdivision streets, they are just tearing up what we've paved, and that's going to cause us to pave them a lot quicker than normal, because so many trucks are driving up and down those streets. That's all I have.
Thank you. Dina Barbara White Community Center, co-chairs Mr. Minchuk and Mr. Pettit.
Yeah, we have a meeting scheduled on the 1st. We have quite a bit of things to review. Hopefully, Core Construction has a report back of a lot of things we requested. We'll be going over that at that time, along with some other items. Other than that, Sean, you have anything?
The big thing that maybe Joe can chime in on as well is, Tom Pampalone, our liability, insurance agent, has asked that waivers, and I think, Joe, he's been putting, either you or Tom has put those together with Pat?
Tom's been working directly with Pat on the
And-
on the waivers.
Yeah, and we're gonna need to, probably does, sounds like, and this is something we'll talk about in the committee, and Joe, we may wanna have you and Tom there for a portion of that meeting, as far as the liability. Doubling back when people come in and they scan their fobs, the front desk people may have to ask them for 5 minutes to fill this thing out, I think is what Tom is recommending, for the town's liability if something were to happen on the football field, on the basketball court, on the walking path, what have you. So that'll be one of the other things we talk about. We've got the Pop Warner, all the field improvements that Jeff was alluding to. I will tell you, and I think it was already in the paper, Rich and Joe and I, really Joe did a lot of yeoman's work on the internal feasibility agreement between the Boys and Girls Club of Northwest Indiana. We now have an after-school club at the Dean and Barbara White Center that took a lot of work, and we're anxious to see how this pilot program turns out. It's geared toward the Pierce middle school kids. I think it's 50 spots are available. Right now, there's 30 that have signed up for it, so there's another 20 that are available. So we're excited about that, to see how that turns out. I can't think of anything else. I know we've got some requests in for usage, Jeff, that we're gonna have to sit with Pat as a committee, Leonard, and we're gonna have to talk about that as well. So, we'll do that on the 1st.
Sir,
Mr. Span?
I got a question from the parking. You know what, we've had that problem for years, and I was wondering, is there any land that the town could, charge the truck drivers to park on? Just a suggestion, sir.
Yeah, no, not that I know of.
Something, could we consider it, or if it's a waste of
Well,
time?
if I'm not mistaken, folks, and Sheila and Joe can look into this, you're not allowed, by ordinance, you're not allowed to bring truck cabs into a residential neighborhood. We have a specific permitted use of a truck transfer lot in certain zoning districts that they're supposed to be parking on. And they need permission, Meyer can't park, non-Meyer related trucks on their property, Rich's next door neighbor can't be parking a semi-cab on a residential street. And that's something we'd have to double check the code on. And obviously through my council affairs committee, Joe, we probably need to do a little
Well,
research on that.
And also, if we're having a problem with Meyer, what we should probably do is approach Meyer directly.
Yeah,
Talk to them directly with the management and tell them we do not want the trucks, cabs parked there. If Meyer agrees to that, then anybody parking cabs there, the police should be able to go ahead and ticket for trespassing.
yep.
Yeah, this has actually been an ongoing issue, right, Chief?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
And since it's Myers, it's their private property. So if they don't object to it, there's not a whole lot the town can do, as far as I understand.
Yeah, 'cause
We
I don't
need-
think,
we need
I
them
don't
to
think the ordinance would cover private property or state property, of course.
That's correct, right, Sheila?
Well, I mean, I'm gonna look into it a little more,
Okay.
Joe, because, that is zone C3.
All right.
And, that's not zone M1.
It's not a truck transfer, even though it's private property, Rick, it's not a permitted use in that C3 zoning. So
Okay.
Meyer can say all they want that it's private property, it's not permitted in that zoning district. You wanna come in and get a special exception or a use variance from the BZA, because you wanna start parking these cabs, that's an entirely different story
Well,
that
but-
all of us have to discuss with them.
But I'm sure that Meyer would like to be a good corporate citizen and work with the town on this matter. So probably we just need to sit down with management.
Yeah.
And I'm talking about regional management.
Yeah, I wouldn't be so, I mean, we could probably solve Meyer.
Yeah.
It's more the residential, chief, that's probably similar to what Vicky goes through with the campers. And parking stuff on hard surfaces versus gravel and boats and campers and that. We've kind of gone through that a lot, Rich. Portable basketball courts in the streets been another one.
Right.
So,
I'm sure it wouldn't hurt to take a look at the ordinance just to review it,
Yeah.
see if it needs any upkeep or cleanup or anything.
yeah,
And we have been in contact with, I was just referring to the chief. We have been in contact with Myers about that parking.
Yep.
It's not something that I can say that that they won't. It's just people are doing it, so we just need to try to figure out how we can
Help
fix it.
But if Meyer doesn't agree to the trucks being parked there, the police should be ticketing,
Right.
so.
And believe me, we look forward to ticketing, and we have approached many a times and spoke with personnel with Meyer, and we're getting some up and down here, we gotta put some teeth in it. And it is posted throughout the town, the 6-ton load limit, to enforce that as well.
Yeah, I don't, like I said, I don't know the legalities behind it, but I think as long as they agree with our ordinance, I don't
I
see what
mean,
we.
that was the whole reason of going to one trash hauler, was to get the extra number of trucks off the residential streets, because they were beating them down, and we were paving them so much, Rich, and they were leaking and all that stuff, so.
Sheila,
Yes.
can you send the council, specifically me, a copy of that ordinance so I can look at it a lot closer to understand it?
Yes.
And
I
then make
will.
sure the chief gets that as well?
Yeah, we just said that we'll check into it and get back with everyone.
Thank you.
Okay.
Very good. Moving on then, Special Projects Committee, Mr. Hardaway.
Thank you, Mr. President. First off, I'd like to thank the town council members, the town employees, all directors, for last Saturday. Last Saturday, I think, was a huge success. And, you know, if I'm wrong, somebody can correct me. But I think we had a nice crowd out. We had a lot of fun. We had great weather. And everybody that I came in contact with that, during that Saturday was very receptive to it. And the only thing that they kept asking is that we should do this annually. Doesn't have to be a birthday celebration annually, it's just kind of like a community gathering. Get people out, get the tents out, and have a little music and have a great time. So everybody that's associated with this thing should be commended, because we really did something for the town last week that hadn't been done probably in the first 49 years, and people appreciated it, and we're looking forward to December the 11th now. And hopefully, even if it's snowing outside, we will still be inside, and we should have a great time with that. So again, thank everyone, and if you have any questions or anything you want to add to the December the 11th festivities, please let me know. And we're going to start meeting probably 1st of October. We'll have a meeting next week, Rick, but then after that, we won't meet again until October.
Okay,
So that give everybody a chance to catch their breath.
sure. Do you want to mention some of those vendors, Richard, who stepped up and helped us out?
Oh, we had Dairy Rich for ice cream and popsicles. We had Domino's Pizza for a lot of pizza that we gave away.
Yeah.
Our DJ, Brian Daring, the hot dog people.
Damos Dogs.
Yeah, they ran out of hot dogs and Polishes.
Yep.
So, you know, you had to be early to get both of those things, but that was a great time.
Family Express as well.
Christian Revival Center Choir, the Merrillville Theater, M&M, they came out and they performed for us.
And I've never seen that many cookies before on one table.
Oh,
but they all went
And the family.
from Family Express.
Family Express,
And then
they gave us
Albany
600
Candy.
cookies.
Yeah.
And at the end of it, if you didn't get one, then you missed a treat, because they were great cookies.
And
Albany's
the gummy
candy.
bears, yeah, Albany.
In Albany.
Albany's.
Thank you, Mark.
Came from Joe.
Albany's with the gummy bears. Everybody loves gummy bears, and, you know, at some point, we ran out of gummy bears too for that activity, but we've got one more activity, and we have more gummy bears for that activity.
Yep.
So, I mean, it was a great time, it was a great town effort, and really appreciate Councilman Span for coming out and spending the entire day with us. Thank you, sir. I think that's all I got now.
All right, very good, thank you. Moving on tonight, Lake County Solid Waste Management District. Mr. White, do you have a report for us?
No report.
NERC, Mr. Hardaway?
Our next meeting is next month.
Okay. I think Matt's not with us tonight. he did call me, he said he wasn't feeling well, so. Mr. Reardon is also absent. Department head reports, Steve, Vicky?
No report.
I'm good for tonight unless anybody's got any questions.
I'd like to have a quick update on the street paving that's going on, if you wouldn't mind, Steve.
Our street paving program throughout town continues. I'm estimating we're probably 65% completed with the work. Work continues. The striping program that we got going started today. We're striping all over town. The major thoroughfares that have needed it for a very long time are getting updated pavement markings, as we speak. Mississippi Street, that project continues. Anticipated end date would be the end of November. By us closing the road down there, working with the Sanders people, probably, escalated that project probably a good 6 months. It wasn't supposed to be done until June of next year. It'll be done this year. So, other than that, our Public Works is working hard. Other than that, I don't have anything else.
53rd Avenue and Broadway, has that ever been rectified?
That,
53rd and Broadway, I emailed Mr. Manning Sunday evening, and there's a underground electrical problem.
Oh,
That's
boy.
the reason why it's not repaired.
Yeah.
Okay,
They did get the pole out of there, but he said that he's waiting now on the contractors to get back to him as to when they will be able to go out there and tear up the concrete and repair the wiring.
oh, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I talked to him on Sunday afternoon.
yeah. I actually did get a call from Adam Parkhouse Friday, who's the INDOT Communications Director for LaPorte District. They have found a contract in the area, an INDOT contract, which they have added that repair work as a change order. So they can expedite that, so it'll be coming in the near future.
Great.
I found that out, late Friday afternoon, so. But yeah, that's moving.
Steve, did you talk to the lady that I told her to call you today? Creekwood Crossings, there's an empty lot there. She said nobody could build on it. Maybe they could have a park there.
Yeah, I spoke with Letha today. She and I talk to Letha all the time. It is a buildable lot.
Is it?
It's lot 104. It is. It's in a flood zone, but there are parameters to build in that. There are certain criteria it has to meet, depending on what house they choose. Matt and I have walked that lot several times with the developer, gone through that with him, but,
Who's the developer?
I don't know, is it Providence over there?
Because
It could be
that
Price
lot
Point
has-
Well,
Builders,
Providence is a builder.
the builder, yeah. I'm not, yeah,
So if it's on the old side, that was, Ms.
Van Til.
Van Til.
Frank Van Til.
And so.
Van Til, right. That's it, because she told me Van Til.
Yeah, but I think Price Point might own that lot.
But she
Yeah,
didn't
he's
think the
probably the builder.
developer was going to do anything, Steve, because she said the last time she talked to him, he didn't want to put a house on that lot.
Yeah, I explained everything to Letha, and she was actually gonna call,
Yeah,
Mr. Van Til and talk to him. We had a lengthy conversation, this
Okay.
afternoon about that lot, but they would like a park over there,
yes.
so that's what she was, kind of reaching out to us. And I explained to her that we don't own that's developer owned, we don't own that lot, so she was gonna reach out to him and see what she could, come up with.
Well, thank you for talking to her.
Oh, you're welcome.
I spend a lot of time with her on the phone.
Yeah, Sheila and I talk to her all the time. All the time. She's a
Oh,
very
okay.
nice lady,
Very nice.
very nice. Okay,
Thank you, Steve.
all right, you're welcome.
Vicky, anything? Chief?
Yes, I'll make it brief. Yes, I just want to point out that our animal control is up and running. He's been out there, and he's been taking care of things upon calls. Also, our traffic enforcement team has been up and running for quite a couple of weeks, and they've been having a lot of contact with people that have a tendency not to pay attention to the speed signs out there. So only thing I could do is suggest pay attention to the speed signs out there. traffic signals, stop signs, because you might get a visitor. With that being said, that's all I have.
Thank you, Chief. Sheila?
No report.
Great, thank you, guys. Moving on tonight to general orders, we have a first reading ordinance, ordinance 21-22. It's an ordinance amending a variety of ordinances and pay for employees of the town of Merrillville. And Trista is going to explain only the changes that are going to be involved with this ordinance.
Good evening.
Hi, Trista.
Directing your attention to page 2, you'll note a few edits for the police department. The police corporal has been increased from 10 positions to 11.
Okay.
The detective positions from 4 to 6. The salaries did not change. The police department simply have moved some personnel.
Okay.
And so now they'll be in compliance with the ordinance. Directing your attention then to the secretary lines, the annual maximums have increased a little bit, not the hourly rate, just simply the max allowed to pay them during the year, because there are a few weeks that the secretaries who work a 64-hour per pay period schedule, meaning 4 8-hour days, will occasionally receive holiday pay when the holiday falls on one of their days off pursuant to the structure of the pay for that. And so the previous ordinance listed specifically 64 hours per pay, and that needed to be adjusted for those occasions when it was a little bit different. As well, the animal control officer is added at the bottom of the police section now. You'll see that for the rate that council had discussed in workshop, and I believe that the personnel committee had decided on. The amount listed there is simply for the remainder of this year. And as the salary ordinance is prepared for next year for the entire calendar year, of course, that amount will reflect an entire year's worth of time. The last amendment to the salary ordinance then is down in the Parks Department, which is still on page 2 toward the bottom. The assistant director amount for an annual pay, which then of course is reflected in the biweekly amount listed, was increased to reflect what the personnel committee feels might be necessary as they go to hire the assistant director.
Thank you, Trista. Any questions for Trista?
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion by Mr. Hardaway, second by Mr. Pettit, for approval of ordinance 21-22. Questions, comments? Hearing none, roll call vote, please, Ms. Scott.
Councilman Span,
Yes.
Vice President Hardaway,
Yes.
Councilman Minchuk,
Yes.
Councilwoman Uzelak,
Yes.
Councilman White,
Yes.
Councilman Pettit,
Yes.
President Bello.
Yes. 7-0, motion carries. Moving on tonight to resolutions, and Trista, you can stay there if you don't mind. We have a resolution 21-60. It's a resolution of the town of Merrillville, Lake County, Indiana, to approve the Merrillville Fiscal Recovery Plan. And we did receive the actual Exhibit A, the plan tonight from Trista. This reflects the different categories that the council's been discussing and where some of this funding should and could be spent. Anything to add, Trista?
Just briefly, for members maybe of the audience or those watching in the community, as you recall, the federal government in allocating the American Rescue Plan funds have set out guidelines and rules to follow. This is step 2 of 3 to be able to spend the money. So step 2 is to establish a plan. The fund already has been established in step 1. The money is there waiting now for this first half. And step 2 is to establish the plan that you have before you. The resolution that you have in conjunction with Exhibit A lists out a variety of items that council and the committee have discussed previously in various workshops. The listing is a little bit general, but that is done on purpose so that you have some flexibility instead of listing out a specific number of vehicles for specific departments, it's simply under capital items, list vehicles for the town. And so that will allow you to make the real-time decisions you need to as you move along and things develop throughout the year. You'll find that kind of example listed throughout that document today for computer upgrades, the different sanitation type things we've discussed for town hall, HVAC upgrades, all of those kinds of things you'll see are fairly generally listed. It is phase one. As you know, you can come back later when you decide there are additional things that you want to spend on and implement phase two, a new list, if something was not included this first time. So it is living and breathing. This is simply the first part of it. Step three will be to do an actual appropriation, which we can probably do at the next meeting once we have some estimates back on some of the different renovation and HVAC type things. It is not an additional appropriation. That does not need newspaper notice. It's simply an appropriation. So that can be done by resolution, and that will allow then the funds to start to be used, which also is a rolling process as well.
Thank you. If anyone in the audience would like a copy of phase one, see Trista, and she'll give you a copy of it after the council meeting.
Yeah, I have a question for Trista, since I see some of my constituents in the audience. Could you explain to them how the home improvement program, how do they, if they're interested, how do they apply for it?
Well, I wish I could, but the idea right now is that you've got the program as an item on the list. There are lots of details that still need to be decided. Once those details are decided, I imagine that you as a council will roll out those details publicly so that your constituents can begin to use it. There's lots of moving pieces and guidelines to get in place for that yet. So as it gets ready, then you'll be able to reveal it to your,
Does that also apply to small business relief?
yes,
Vaccination as well?
yes.
Actually, all that list.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. President, make a motion to approve Resolution 21-60.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Pettit, with a second by Mr. Hardaway for approval of Resolution 21-60. Is there any further discussion on the motion? Hearing none. Ms. Scott, let's call the roll, please.
Councilman Span,
Thank you, Trista.
Vice President Hardaway,
Yes.
Councilman Minchuk,
Yes.
Councilwoman Yuzlak,
Yes.
Councilman White,
Yes,
Councilman Pettit,
Yes.
President Bello.
Yes. 7-0, motion carries. Thank you, everyone. Moving on tonight to BZA actions and large gathering actions.
Mr.
Sean.
President, we have one applicant for a large gathering permit. The Food Bank of Northwest Indiana, Ride the Region fundraiser and event located at 6490 Broadway. This event will be Saturday, September the 4th, 2021, from 12 p.m. to 2 p.m. Approximately 250 people will be allowed to assemble. There will be 150 tickets sold. Security will be provided by the Merrillville police officer, and there is a limited number of tickets sold with wristband entry. There will be 4 indoor male toilets and 5 indoor female toilets. The Food Bank of Northwest Indiana will maintain the indoor toilets. There is 1 drinking fountain indoor and 1 drinking water spigot outdoor. There is 1 dumpster, 4 trash containers provided by Total Disposal. There is a public telephone available at the front desk of the building. There are 200 on-site paid parking spaces available with additional parking on the side of the building. All parking will be on-site with no parking from surrounding property owners. No overnight stays. The entertainment will be provided by DJ Baron Cummins from Catalyst Productions of Munster, Indiana, from 12 p.m. to 2 p.m. Beer will be served. Food will also be served.
Thank you, Sheila.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Pettit, second by Mr. Hardaway for approval of this large gathering permit application for the Food Bank of Northwest Indiana fundraiser. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye, opposed? The motion carries, Sheila. Moving on tonight, is there any old business before us? Any old business before the council?
I do, Mr. President.
Mr. Minchuk?
I know a few months back, we were discussing the problems we had with animals in the area, in the town, and things and solutions we may do, or any needs we may have. I know the chief addressed earlier that our animal control's back up and working, so good job with that, chief. I put together a committee to look at some problems and needs we have in town. It was myself, as I said at the time, Councilman Hardaway, Steve, Matt, Vicky was a huge help, co-stuff in the police department, and surprisingly, my wife jumped on board. She usually doesn't get involved. So we kind of put our heads together and thought about a bunch of different things we can need and or help the town. So we all kind of brainstormed. We came up with two ideas. We were going to do it at one time, but now we separated it to two different projects because it's just going to work out easier this way. The one project we're going to do is more of a need than it is a want, is the property we owned on Broadway, just north of 73rd, right at the end of the bike trail there. We've discussed what we were going to do with that property for years. I've had some ideas myself, and we're talking about building a dog park there. We want to help build the Broadway corridor the best we can and make it look nice and have something that our town people can go to, take their animals, let them run around, stretch their legs out, just have somewhere nice to go. We currently have a proposal we are reviewing at this time, and hopefully we'll have something on the agenda for the next meeting, and we'll have it to all the council here for review before we go ahead and approve that proposal. Secondly, the second part of this was, I know our police department and our animal control has a hard time with storing these animals. Sometimes it can get a little cumbersome for them. So we want to build a temporary animal shelter where they can at least hold them for a temporary amount of time. Of course, this is all still, we're still brainstorming this. So we're currently looking at a possible location for that and some more ideas on how to do that. So hopefully we'll have a proposal on that in the coming future. And of course, we can't break any kind of ground on either one of these projects. So we'll definitely use the winter time to promote this, see if there's any sponsorships available or anything like that. So just to want to keep everybody, I didn't want to keep anybody in the dark, just so everybody knows what's going on.
Great.
Thank you.
Well, obviously, Mr. President, to Jeff, as RDC president, and Joe, we'd have to check with Pittman and Swentz, but I think both of these projects are Broadway TIF eligible. And we can check with Pat on the monies available. Broadway is going to start, once some of these big buildings in Ameriplex come online, Broadway TIF's going to have some cash in it, so we can, I think we had done that. Rich, didn't we set aside $75,000 for Union Park way back when Carol was on the council?
Yeah.
And nothing ever got done. That's the old Merrillville lumber site.
Right.
Yeah,
So do we still have the 75,000?
probably. I mean, it's probably been used for something else, Margie, I'm sure it's been put back into the TIF fund.
We can always resurrect that.
Yeah, we can resurrect that. So
We've got-
financing, we can handle, I think, that RDC can handle.
Right.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Minchuk. Any other old business before us? Moving on tonight to new business. We do have a vacancy on the Board of Zoning Appeals. I did investigate that and found out that that's a presidential appointment. So tonight I would like to appoint Mr. Andrew Sylvesterwitz to fill the unexpired term of Chuck Stoyanovich on the BZA. So that'll be for the rest of this year and then all of next year, and then we go through the process again. So Mr. Sylvesterwitz did submit a letter. It's on file for some type of appointment. He's a past council member, and I think he'll serve the board well. Moving on tonight to public comment. Is there any public comment tonight? Please approach the podium, ma'am.
Mr. President,
State your name and address.
did you do new business?
Oh, is there something else?
Yeah, I actually had a question in
One
terms.
second, ma'am, sorry.
1 minute, Miss McNally, hold on, please. In the terms of parking lot potholes, I'm trying to see if there's a way we can amend the ordinance whereas if the owners of these parking lots don't keep them in shape, that they don't get a business license. So that's something I'd like for Joe to see if that's something we may be able to do. Is that possible, Joe?
I'd have to look under the business license revocation ordinance, see if that's an allowable offense that the license can be revoked on.
Because I don't think we, even though I think there was an attempt to straighten out some things on 61st, it was wholly inadequate.
Took
Really
a while,
inadequate.
yeah.
Yes. I mean, it was a start, but I think the individual wants to put some new businesses there. So here's what I'm basically saying is that bring your property up here if you want a business license. And I don't think that owners that neglect their property should get a business license renewal. And I think that's a little teeth that we may be able to put into that ordinance. So I'd like for the counselor to look into that and see if that's doable.
Okay.
Thank you.
Good idea. Now, public comment, ma'am? Thanks for your patience. I'm sorry, Leonard, I didn't see that you had a comment. Name and address for the record, please.
My name is Mary Carmagnelli, and I live 1711 West 60th Place. Okay, I've never been to one of these meetings. This is the first time I've came, but I had to because of the situation that I was left in. I've lived out here 20 years, and I feel since the neighborhood has become predominantly black, and most of the people who like on the board or whatever, managers or whatever, they don't live out here, so they don't respect us as residents when we tell them something's wrong. I live next door to people who put toilets outside up against their garage, sinks, couches, and I can't enjoy my property. I've called code enforcement 4 times about it, and then they said they finally got some kind of citation against this person. But the thing of it is, it stayed there. It remained there for 3 weeks. Sinks, and there's already a lot of other trash and debris there. And then I mentioned it to him. I said, okay, then you call. It's like Vicky's not very nice about it when you're trying to tell her. And I pay my taxes, and I feel that it's not fair for me to have to live. And if you talk about all your ordinances and all your little codes or whatever you have, then why don't they apply to me? Why is it that when I'm telling you that there's some people next to me throwing down debris and you don't live out here, that you don't respect the fact that I live here and I should not have to live that way? And nothing's been done about it. They finally moved it Sunday. But then it's toilets, everything. And I get no help. What do I do?
Mr. President,
What's your address again, ma'am?
1711
she's my
West
constituent.
60th Place.
And I've went out and I've talked to her, and I've talked to the next door, our neighbor, and I actually walked around his property with him and asked him, even if I had to buy a second offense, because it is an eyesore, and she can see it very well. I went to her house as well, and and had 2 or 3 phone calls with her, just trying to resolve that problem. However, there was a citation written, and it has to go to court. And I think I explained that to you, Ms. McNeely.
You explained that to me, but I had to call 4 times, and then if I call code enforcement, I don't expect for you to be rude. There's nothing I can do, and you're talking to me like that when I pay taxes. And when it was predominantly white, we didn't have that.
Yeah,
It wasn't
yeah.
that dirt. I didn't have to deal with that. But then
Well,
you're
just-
telling me I got to deal with it?
Just for the record, I was not rude with you.
No, I said Vicky. I didn't mean you. I said her name.
Okay. Okay.
Straight up Vicky. I guess she doesn't live out here. She don't have to deal with it. I keep my property clean. I pay my taxes, and I got to look at toilets. And it's nothing I can do. It's just. Because we're black, that doesn't mean we want to live in trash.
Yes, Mr. President. It's in the courts right now. I don't know exactly when the court date is for the citation. I don't even know how to speed it up, but
But if
there's not something.
I've called numerous of times, this person still is doing this, and then you still do nothing about it, and then get smart with me like I'm inconveniencing you. That's what bothers me. I'm inconveniencing you, but my tax dollars are paying your salary for you to live somewhere else, and you don't live out here. But then you're telling me that, oh no, there's nothing you can do about it. I have to look at it, and I have to deal with it.
Ms. McNeely, did you also talk to the town manager?
I talked to him too. He didn't care. He doesn't live out here either. Why does
That
he
is
care?
correct.
He doesn't live here.
Absolutely.
let's-
No, I just wanted to say something.
He did nothing either.
Let's finish up, please. And then Mary Leonard can talk to you after the meeting. But if you
Everybody's
call,
talked to
you
me.
should get respect for sure. So we
Oh,
will
no,
look into
no,
that.
you don't. They say that.
Well, we'll look into
To say it
that.
and to give it is a whole new different thing. I mean, you constantly
Okay.
say that, but I don't see nothing being done. But your salaries are getting paid, but nobody, I mean, I pay my taxes, I haven't been late.
Of course,
not
we all do,
delinquent.
yeah. And
Well,
this
that's
board,
what I'm
of course,
saying.
we all live in town, naturally.
Well,
We're your
so-
representatives.
I
so-
thought everybody did, but I was surprised to find, well, should have known, that's why I'm not getting the service that I'm getting
Yeah,
from
not
these
all
certain
the
people.
employees do, but a lot of employees do, and our chief does. So we're all here in town with you.
But it's a
So-
lot of them that aren't, maybe, because I was trying to
Okay.
figure out, because I used to say, oh, well, if it was next door to you, I'm sure you'd do something to it, but she doesn't live here. You know what I mean? She doesn't have to look at it.
All right. Mary, thank you for your comments. We'll look into it.
Thank you, Mary.
Any other public comment tonight? Sir, please approach. Leonard, I'll let you get involved with Mary's complaint and get to the bottom of that, please.
I want to thank you, Mr. President, for the appointment. I thank the
Sure.
council, and I want to assure you that I will endeavor to do the best I possibly can to assist Merrillville for the good. Thank you.
Great. Any other public comment? I saw another hand. Sir, please approach.
Hi,
Hi.
my name is Marquetta Rochelle. Everybody knows me as Q.
What's your address, please, ma'am?
1000 West 62nd Avenue.
Thank you.
I'm in the Englehart subdivision,
Okay.
and that's why I'm here. We have a tremendous speeding problem. I think people take shortcuts through our neighborhood. They come through my block all day long, 60, 50. I've taken pictures, I've wrote down license plates, and I've left emails. The other thing that I'm having a problem with is code enforcement. I've called code enforcement several times about neighbors putting, like she said, toilets on their porch, garbage on their porch. I've knocked on their door and told them, you can't do that. And I always get, well, I'm renting, and he's not doing anything, so I'm not gonna do anything. And I'm telling them, but you're making the neighborhood look bad. They don't care. So I call Vicky. I tell Vicky, my neighbor across the yard from me, 925. This yard is a jungle, and it's starting to grow over my neighbor that's on the side of me. They're directly behind them. I take care of my neighbor. We do their grass, we do everything. But this yard is a jungle. Now, the yard is here. My neighbor's here. I'm here. And then there's another neighbor on the other side. Her weeds have grown 3 houses down and is now causing my fence to fall. I don't want to have to put up a new fence. So I call Vicky. I tell Vicky, 925. I left Vicky an email. I call Vicky every year about this same house. It can't be perfect. You can't have perfection. I told her, I can't have perfection. She told me the world is not perfect. And I told her, it's not, but I can have a piece of perfection in it. I bought this house when I was young. I've been in Merrillville 30 years. My house is not only my sanctuary, but it's my investment. And when I leave my neighborhood with all the money that we've put into our house, I expect to get a good return. So when you say you have all these ordinances and we have all these codes, and then I hear Merrillville's broke, well, you guys need to get on your jobs. She needs to get on her job or replace her. Give her what she needs to get help, so she does not have to be disrespectful to people when they call her. It's saddened to me. I left Chicago to live out here because Chicago was turning into a big, giant ghetto. And that's what Merrillville is becoming to me right now. Inglehart looks like a ghetto. It's dirty. You have weeds climbing up people's houses, taller than their houses. And I look at that code enforcement thing you send out every year, and I read that thing. And every code is broken. Every one. So money you don't have, push some of these fines. Push some of these codes and fine these people. These landlords are renting to everybody. That's okay to be a renter. I started out on Section 8 out here, but I did not stay there. I used it as a stepping stone so that I could become a homeowner. But you got people out here that don't care. And they're right in your office. They have to care about Merrillville to see Merrillville. I heard that you guys want to make Merrillville a city. If you don't get a hold on it now, it's going to be a Chicago, a Inglewood, where I came from, with helicopters. We got gunshots at 3 o'clock in the morning in Inglehart. We have music so loud that it shakes you out of your bed at 4 o'clock in the morning. We got a gas station on 61st ran by, another culture. They're up there all night long like it's 63rd and Austin. Any of you ever visited 63rd and Austin in Chicago? It's the pits. Babies at 3 in the morning. That's what I see at that gas station. I'm afraid to be on my porch at night. My house is beautiful. My husband put his hard work into that house. We have people drive past our house and throw their garbage in our yard. We have a vacant lot on our block where trucks pull up at 1 o'clock at night and take out bags of raw garbage. People that don't pay for garbage throws their garbage there. And when I call and complain about it, it's a, well, I'm doing the best that I can do. I've been here 30 years. I know how long Vicky's been in office. And I haven't seen one thing that she has done to make Merrillville better as a code enforcer. Now, if you guys got to hire more people and let her run it and have people under her and put 2 to 3 code enforcers in these subdivisions, it's going to be a mess. They're breaking in our cars. They're breaking in our houses. They're stealing our floodlights. They're stealing your plants off your porch. This is petty. It's petty. And I can't deal with it no more. But when I leave Merrillville, I'm going to get back what I put into my house. Because that's what I'm going to do. I have children, I have grandchildren, and now I'm a great-grandmother. And my job is to leave an inheritance to them. So if I could sell that house and leave them enough money to come out of school and buy their own houses, then I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. But I need y'all to do y'all's job. I need her to do her job. Like that lady said, we pay taxes. I pay for water, NIMSCO, garbage, you name it. You name it. And the things that are happening in our subdivision, it shouldn't even be like that. Not in Inglehart, not across 61st on the other side, not past 61st. When you go down Harrison and you get to that train track, when you cross that train track, it's a whole nother world. I want some of that. And I don't have to live on the other side of the track to get it, because I came from the other side of the track and I got to this side. So I'm not going to let this push me back to where I started, because this is not my plan. So if I have to come up here and be a big mouth and call Vicky every day and call Mr. White and Sheila and the chief of police and get on everybody's nerve, and I got a big mouth, y'all. They ran me out of the community school corporation because of my mouth. But fair is fair.
Yeah.
Fair is fair. And I feel like it's more black on that side of town, so nobody's paying attention to it. They're doing everything. Last night, me and my husband, we like to sit on our front porch. We call it the Breakfast Club. Some of the people on our block, they come, they drink coffee, they sit on my porch, we talk. Last night, we were sitting out there. All of a sudden, boom, 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 boom. I'm like, what is that? My husband, everybody says, let's go in the house. Come on. I left that in Chicago.
Right.
I don't want that out here. I had a rough life there. I moved here at 20 years old with 2 kids in my hand. And I made it. So I've been trying to keep my kids up the right way. My sons are successful businessmen right here in Merrillville. And I just don't want this no more. I'm starting to look at Merrillville and say, I don't want to be here no more. When I first came here, I was like, man, I love this. It's clean. It's quiet. It's respectful people. Everybody's nice. Now, it's another world.
Okay, well, give us a chance to get it fixed, okay?
Yes.
We
I've
appreciate
been
your
here
comment.
30 years, so I'm still waiting.
Ms. Q?
Okay.
I think a couple of months ago, you, your husband, and a couple of your neighbors came here and talked to the town manager.
Yes, yes.
Those things should have been addressed because they were
Those
put on the table.
things, they were taken care of. I did come up and see Sheila and thanked her because Harrison was taken care of, but it's growing back now. It hasn't been cut since it was cut. And that's what makes me feel like I'm talking to one of my kids. I gotta call her every week and tell her when the vacant lot needs to be cut. No, in the summertime, you know the grass needs to be cut once a week, every 2 weeks in the fall. So I don't understand why we gotta call. If somebody in the neighborhood always has to call and say, well, this needs to be cut, or their weeds need to be done, or this is like that. No, we're adults here. I'm an old lady. It don't take all of that. It really don't. So I'm giving you guys the chance to get this together, please. I'm praying for Merrillville because I left a rough life in Chicago, and I moved out here so my kids did not have to deal with what I dealt with as a child. And I'm not gonna let my grandkids deal with that. They're killing each other out there. We don't want that out here.
I agree with you, Ms. Q.
We don't want
And-
that.
And I'm gonna talk to you after the meeting, but however, your area is ran down. I just hate to say it, but it is ran down.
It is. It looks bad. And it didn't
I
look
don't-
like that 15 years ago.
Yeah.
It looks like a
So
big ghetto with a big ghetto Engelhardt sign leaning on 61st Street.
Absolutely. I'll talk to you
That's
after the
your
meeting.
district, Len?
Yes. We talked about these issues. I talked about them with Pat as well, and
We talked about it before he was even voted in office.
Okay.
That's how long we've been talking about it.
All
So today I came out to put a face with the voice so Vicky could have a face with the voice, and we don't have to argue and be rude and disrespectful with each other. Because I'm not a child, I'm a woman. And I talk to her like a woman. So when I call you, don't talk to me like I'm one of your children, because I'm not. I demand respect. I get that when I walk in the room by the presence that I carry. Not to be disrespected by anybody. I'm an educated black woman. Not to be treated low-graded. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mel. Thank you.
You're welcome. Is there any other public comment tonight? Oh, please approach, sir.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, council. My name is Robert Baker, and I live at 8500 Grant Circle, Merrillville Lakes. I've been here going on 3 months, and I had a problem at a car wash over here off of is it Cleveland? Taft Street. And I want to thank the police for showing up that day. because there was it was just so much crazy going over there with some of the young people. And the police their presence did show up. And I want to thank, the officers. I didn't get their names, but I go there to wash my car. And I kind of get leery when I see these young guys coming in there and they, they want to play the music all loud, they don't follow the rules. But the officers were good, they did talk to them. And like I said, to see the presence also in the area where I moved to over here for 85 Grand Circle. I want to give the chief of police good job on keeping your guys out there.
Thank you, sir.
And I'm looking forward to making my life here in Merrillville.
Great, welcome.
I'm a Cub fan, too.
My name is Brian Messarch. I live at 201 East 68th Place. I've lived there for over 22 years. I was reading through the minutes from last month's town council meeting. I noticed that the town approved the promotion of a Kathy Pettit to HR director, who is the wife of Sean Pettit, who is actually my representative. That's called a conflict of interest. Anybody who studies basic business understands conflict of interest. It was brought up about nepotism and cronyism as if that was, oh, no, legally, this is not a crime. I want to thank Mr. White and Mr. Spann. They voted against it because, you know what? It's wrong. How do we trust as citizens of Merrillville, how do we trust problems getting taken care of when the town council can't even recognize something that is taught to basic business students, basic leadership seminars. At every university, you take a 100 level class, conflict of interest is going to be there. How do we trust you when that's okay? That's what I want to know. I read that in the minutes last month, and I'm like, you know what? Maybe it's time for me to come down to a town meeting, and again, like it was said before, give a face to the voice of how does that happen? It's wrong. As a matter of fact, I think it's the epitome of irony that someone who is going to be an HR director doesn't understand the basic concept of conflict of interest. Please enlighten me on how.
Well, this isn't really supposed to be like a back and forth. It's public comment, sir, but I'll let the town attorney maybe say a few comments to help you with that because, we can't help you with the explanation. So, Joe, would you mind explaining that, how it's?
The nepotism
Yeah.
statute under Indiana code says that a supervisor cannot be directly related to a subordinate. So what we have is, we have the HR director, who is a department head, who reports and is directly responsible to the town manager. The town manager then is directly responsible to the town council in total. So it is not a conflict of interest. It is not nepotism.
Does that help, sir, at all? Kathy's been an employee here for 28 years.
Hey.
Well before that Mr. Pettit was a council member.
I was a resident, and I graduated Merrillville in 1990. I've been here for 30, 40 years.
Good.
Long before Mr. Pettit was a representative.
Great.
So I guess we are just going to have to spread the word that, you know what, there's a thing called elections, and if you don't understand what conflict of interest is, if you don't understand what nepotism is, because I could take a poll and ask most citizens of Merrillville, does this seem like nepotism to you?
So what we're saying is it's not a conflict. So what you're saying is that Kathy was an employee here at the town for many, many years, and because her husband ran for office and won, that she should what, be fired? Because she's the wife of a council member? That doesn't make sense to me. We promoted her. She was already an employee who got promoted. We didn't just hire her off the street. She was an existing employee.
You do realize that someone who works in payroll doesn't automatically translate to a supervisor of HR. They're two different skill sets, right? What qualifications were discussed,
Well-
other than the, oh, yep, let's.
I think we're
let's
getting-
just
Yeah, we're
ask
not
this.
going to get into the weeds and all
getting-
that, sir. So you obviously have a problem with that. That's a different topic, so.
My question is how does the citizens of Merrillville trust a town council? Please excuse these two gentlemen. They
Well, that's
voted
Mr.
against it.
Hardaway. That's not Mr. White. Mr. White's over here.
Mr. White, apologize.
Mr. White's there, and
And
Mr. Span's there.
Yep.
Kudos to you guys. The rest, it's a problem. And if you guys don't want to address the problem, I don't understand how you fix other problems, because that's a basic thing. And to respond to, oh, here's someone who's worked for X amount of years, that doesn't make them, it's not magic that you just acquire this different skill set.
Okay, thank you, sir. Any other public comment tonight? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion.
Adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned.
Have a good one.
Good job. Thank you. Thank you for helping out.